guys, and welcome back to my YouTube. Today is a very exciting day because I am 5 weeks and 1 day post emergency ovarian cyst surgery, and today is my first pelvic health appointment with a specialist. So I'm really excited. I am gonna show you what the appointment is like and kind of the advice that I get off the back of it. But if you've watched my previous videos, you will know that obviously training plays a very, very big part in my life. I've been bodybuilding for pretty much 10 years. So when I actually got this surgery, it was a bit of a transition, and I think I've done pretty well. I think on the whole I've been really positive. But I wanted to make a video today just to basically explain what's been happening since I got this surgery like 5 weeks ago. I cannot believe it's been 5 weeks. And also, I thought it would actually be quite cool to kind of document this journey and just show how I am going from basically not being able to get up and down out of a chair by myself to getting back into full-blown training, basically. And I know I had quite a lot of messages when I did initially share the video just around, oh, it's like, it's nice to see like someone that is really into training talking about things like this and sharing that, like, you know, it's not always like sunshine and rainbows. So I just wanted to talk about it, and I'm actually so excited, you know, I'm trying to use this as an opportunity to actually learn more about like this, how to do things like this, because I didn't really know that much about it before, and it's actually been a really good learning curve for me to figure out, okay, so what core exercises do you need to do, like how do you improve the recovery? So it's been actually super interesting learning about it. And basically, I'm going to show you today, I'm going to take you to my appointment, I am going to show you the exercises I can do, and hopefully over the next sort of 3 to 4 weeks I'll be able to build back in some core work, and that will lead to me slowly being able to transition back in the gym. They've said about 10 weeks really post-surgery I can go back into the gym, so I'm about halfway through that time. But I'm really excited to take you with me today. So got my drink, it is like 7 AM in the morning, I got up around half an hour ago, and I'm gonna have some water, and then I am gonna go and walk the dogs for an hour. So that is my current morning routine, but I'm gonna show you like how I've been keeping up my good habits, what I've been doing with my food, everything like that, like while I've been recovering. So yeah, that is the plan for today. Okay, so I'm back from the dog walk. I've just ate my breakfast and got my protein shake. So just had some Weetabix and fruit and a protein shake basically. I'm just about to make a coffee and then I'm going to start some work. But yeah, a little bit of just an update really as to what's been going on. Obviously the last kind of update video I did, it was talking through like the surgery and basically what has happened. And the first couple of weeks, I'm gonna be honest, were very, very tough, like in a lot of pain, basically, like couldn't get up and down without Will's help, couldn't get in and out the car, it took me like 10 minutes to get in the flipping car. It was really tough, and I think going from someone that was very active to that was really difficult. And obviously I did record the last video as well, like a week, I think it was a couple of weeks or maybe even 3 weeks after my surgery, so I'd already like been in and out of that phase. But yeah, that was kind of really hard, and you don't realize until you've had like your stomach cut open like how much you actually use your core on a day-to-day basis. But anyway, got out of that stage, and I'm actually really happy with how things have gone. Like obviously I'm not training yet, I'm not at the gym, I'm just starting to basically move a bit more. So like once it got to about week like 3 to 4, I could like get up and down myself, I could get up and down the stairs myself, that sort of stuff. And I'm actually at the point now, really happy because I can walk now for an hour in the morning. So I've been getting up with Will and we've been walking the dogs in the morning for an hour. And I actually did my first solo dog walk today. I was a bit nervous about holding the leads because I thought, oh, what if the dogs like pull and it like hurts my stomach? But I just have to keep my arms like really bent so I can use my arms and my shoulders to stop them pulling. But I did let them off the lead most of the time. But yeah, that was really positive because I managed to walk the dogs with just by myself, which was I was so happy. So I actually did about 6,000 steps I've done this morning, which is like that's the biggest walk I've got up to essentially. So I'm really, really happy with that. And I'm at the point now where it is still pretty sore, but I can like move a bit more. I can get up and down. It's just sometimes when I forget that it's there and then I'll go to like lie down and I'm like, oh God, it just pulls a bit. And there's the kind of area in my stomach, belly button down, is still like really tender. And sometimes if I like stretch too much, it like really pulls. So what I've been doing basically is I've just been really trying to like slowly build my steps up, slowly get things back to normal. And what has really, really helped me is basically trying to keep a good routine, because it would have been so easy, like especially post-surgery, to like eat loads of takeaways, not really eat very well, like not really like go to bed really late. So I just really tried to focus on keeping a good routine. So for example, like going to bed at the same time every night, making sure, like really stupid things, like little things, making sure I'm keeping a good sleep routine in place, so I'm not going on my phone, for example. And just making sure I really focused on like what I could control. And I think that really helped me like stay in a positive frame of mind. Like, so the sleep routine was one thing I really focused on, having a good sleep routine, getting to bed at like a similar time, waking up at a similar time. Although I was sleeping for like 10 hours a night, like the first 2 to 3 weeks after I had the surgery. And then the other thing I was doing was making sure in the morning I was getting outside, even if it was literally like the first 2 weeks I was like walking halfway down the road and back. But keeping up like fresh air in the morning, making sure I still took all my supplements was another thing. And then food wise, I was just making sure I had like 4 decent protein based meals a day. And that was like, I was sat around a lot and I did have like a few bits of what I wanted, chocolates, etc. But I was just really trying to keep up a good nutrition routine, because I think that's like, I was like, okay, I can't move, I can't train, like I can't really walk even, what can I do? I'm going to focus on the food. So I'm really, really happy with how it's gone. I don't feel like I have done too badly, I think, all things considering, but now it is just essentially going to be like slowly starting to get back to normal. Now I can move a bit more. I have been doing some basic breathing exercises, so I've basically been doing like cat-cows just to get a little bit of movement around like my midsection. And then I've also been doing some deep breathing, because the first like 2 weeks I could only breathe like really shallow because I couldn't breathe into my stomach because it was so painful and it was moving my stomach too much. But now I can like take a really deep breath right into my stomach, which is good. So I've been doing some breathing. And I've also been, one of the first things I recommend is like pulling your belly button in and like basically just starting to move through your stomach a bit. So I've been doing that in like on my hands and knees and basically just practicing like pulling my stomach in. Because when you first have the surgery, you can't pull your stomach in at all. Everything was really like swollen and bloated. So now I can basically pull my stomach in, which is great. So that's basically where I'm up to. I'm doing my hour dog walk. I'm doing my breathing exercises every morning. That's been the extent of my movement for 5 weeks. So I actually go away. I'm going on holiday at the end of this week. By the time this video comes out, I'll probably be on holiday. So I just wanted to try, that was like a nice mini goal for me, because I wanted to try and get back to normal, well, relatively normal, like before I went away, so I could like get up and down. I think the only thing is Will is probably going to have to push my suitcase, bless him, because I don't think I'm going to be able to like lift up anything heavy yet. But yeah, today it is a busy work day. I've got 3 consult calls with potential new clients. I've got loads of check-ins to do, and I have got my pelvic health appointment at 2 p.m, which I'm really excited for. So I'm going to show you kind of what I get up to today, and I'm gonna take you with me to my appointment. I don't know if I'll be able to film at the appointment, but hoping when I come back I can kind of show what I'm gonna be doing. So when I did go to see another physio, just who I normally see, Toby, just after I did it and I couldn't really move. He said it's probably going to be like about week 6 when you can start doing the core stuff, and then it's probably going to be like a good 2-3 weeks of core stuff. Like you need to make sure you can twist and obviously move properly, because at the minute it is still sore. And then it'll probably be a week or so of like body weight exercises, so like split squats, hip thrusts, like without any weight. And then once I can move properly and I can stabilize myself, I can start to actually build in some weight. So I think it's probably, he said it's going to be about 10 weeks post surgery when I can like start weight training. And obviously it's not going to be full pelt straight back in, it's going to be like slowly building it up. But yeah, I'm feeling positive because I think what's really helped me is having like mini goals to work towards, and not just being like, oh God, I can't train for 10 weeks, but being like, okay, well, let's walk to the end of the road today. And then a couple of days later, I'm like, okay, let's walk to the park. And then just setting myself like mini goals has been really, really helpful. So like then it was, okay, now let's build in the breathing exercises. And now I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to the physio today so I can start doing my core stuff. So I feel like it's all progress and it's all movement in the right direction. But I tell you what, I will never take being able to move freely for granted ever again in my life. I really won't, because you don't realise until you're stuck in a house and you can't get up by yourself, like how grateful we should be to be able to walk and go to the gym and do all these things and move our bodies basically. So yeah, that is essentially where things are at. So I am going to go and get a little bit of work done before I basically go to the physio, but I am so excited. And I thought I would also just show what I eat today, just because this is basically what I've been eating throughout the last 5 weeks, and I haven't been tracking my calories. I've just been intuitively eating, but I've actually lost quite a lot of weight, and I think that's because a combination of I didn't really eat in hospital because my stomach was sore. The cysts have come out, which were big, and I think the cysts will have weighed quite a lot, so I think that's pulled my weight down. And then obviously I haven't been weight training, so I won't be carrying, like, you naturally when you have a rest from training your weight drops because you're not like carrying any water or inflammation or anything. So I'm about I was like 10 pounds down after the surgery. I'm now like 8.5 pounds down from where I was pre-surgery. So yeah, I haven't gained really any body fat, but I have been quite sensible with my food. So I'm going to show you what I eat today, and this is basically what I've been eating over the last few weeks. Obviously there has been a few meals out, I haven't actually had any takeaways, but there's been a few meals out, and there has been like people have bought me chocolates and little snacks, so I have had like the odd snack probably a few times a week. But yeah, show you what I eat. So that was my first meal. I had 3 Weetabix with some almond milk and some berries and a protein shake on the side, and I am just going to go and make my coffee. Okay, so I've just finished up some check-ins, calls, etc. And I'm just going to make some lunch. And then I'm going to go and head to my appointment. So Mum is going to come with me as well to the appointment, just because it's a little bit of a drive. So that'll be really nice. And then I think we might go and get like a coffee or something afterwards, which will be really cute. So yeah, just going to make my dinner and then head over. But like I kind of touched on this a little bit this morning when I did the video a little bit earlier today, but basically the past 5 weeks have been just about setting like really small goals, so like slowly building the steps up, doing like the basic pelvic movements just to like open things up, because when you have surgery like this, like you can't even stand up properly. Like I couldn't even fully straighten myself up, so it was just about like getting things moving, being able to stand up straight, and then basically just really slowly building up like the daily movement, because when you come out of surgery, like your energy's really low, you want to nap all the time, you can't really move that much. So it's just about like really slowly starting to build things up and yeah, get the steps in a really good spot. So now they're pretty much back to normal. I can pretty much walk as normal and everything like that. So I'm really excited to see how today goes and kind of what happens and what the advice is. But I think hopefully should be a good block now of like core training, starting to use all that a little bit more, and then from there hopefully I'll be able to transition into some like basic weight training essentially. So that's the plan, and we'll see how it goes. But I think it can feel quite tough because when you come out of the hospital. They don't give you like any advice in terms of how to do things. They just say basically don't drive for 6 weeks and then you sign off work for 8 weeks or whatever. So I actually came across Natalie by, it was one of my old clients actually, she was her physio. And I actually met up with her once just to talk about some client specific bits, because she specialises in like, she's a female health physio, so like pelvic floor, pre and postnatal, pregnancy, like menopause, like all that sort of stuff. And I was thinking, oh, I need to find someone who I can go and see after my surgery who's like a specialist, because it's really difficult to see someone in the NHS. So I was just like, right, we'll pay and go private. So remembered her, dropped her a message. And yeah, because obviously the cut I've had is basically like a C-section cut. So that's how I came across her. And she works in like a physio like clinic a couple of days a week, and then she works, I think her and her husband have like a gym together, so she does some like gym based stuff. So I'm gonna go and see her in the clinic today. We're actually going away to Italy for our friend's wedding this week, and then we're going on holiday after to the Amalfi Coast, which will be fun. So my plan is, if I can get this session done today, and then I can basically do that core work away while I'm in Italy and sort of build that up in the background, so that when I come back I'll be in a better position to like hopefully transition in the gym, because by that time I will be pretty much like 7 to 7.5 weeks post surgery, so hopefully a little bit stronger and more able to like actually start to build some weight training back in, which I'm really excited for. But yeah, that's basically the plan. And I really wanted to share this because I know, and I've had a few comments on this in terms of like, obviously people will see me like bodybuilding and doing all the shows and like basically doing loads of training and stuff, and it can feel like so far off. So, you know, seeing someone that has maybe gone through something like this, and hopefully it shows that even when you go through like a big setback like this, and you know, you are knocked off your feet and you can't train at all, and you have to literally build from the ground up again, because that's literally what I'm having to do, like basically start from the ground again, that you can do it and you can build up and you can actually get yourself back in a really good spot. So that's the plan, to just share this. And I want to make sure I do it properly as well, because I know loads of people after surgery, like Natalie was even saying this to me, she's like, loads of people just are like, okay, let's go back to training straight away, and they miss all the rehab work, they don't do that properly, and they just basically like dive right in. And obviously that's where like injuries can happen and things can go wrong, and you end up then running into issues like 6 months down the line because you've not actually done the groundwork that you needed to do. So I'm really determined to just do this properly and not rush back into the gym too soon. Have also got some bio oil now, because it turns out I'm actually allergic to the silicone pads, so I can't use that. So I'm going to get some bio oil, and then today Natalie is going to show me some kind of basic stuff around like how to massage the scar to help soften it, because obviously scar tissue is like really hard, so I don't want like any skin overhang and I don't want it to like pull. So I'm going to start doing that as well, to hopefully try and reduce the scar but also like actually soften the scar tissue a little bit. So that is the plan. I'm going to make my lunch now. I've got some chicken that I have cooked a bit already, well, well cooked, should I say, already, and then some pasta and some spinach. So I'm gonna make, we don't have much food because we're going away on the weekend, so we've got like bits and bobs of random food in the fridge, so I'm gonna make this. Okay, so this is meal number 2 after my Weetabix. Very random, but basically pasta, chicken, spinach, tomatoes and some low-fat cheese. Okay, so I am back from the appointment, and I also had a hair appointment, which I forgot about. So I also have nice olaplexed hair, which look how shiny it is. Why can I never get, it never looks like this when I do it. But anyway, hair's done, nice and straight, nice and long, olaplexed. So yeah, basically appointment is done. I actually feel honestly like I've learned so much from that appointment. I'm really excited to kind of share about it and talk about it. So yeah, what I'll do is I'm gonna pop in to the house because the dogs are on an absolute, I can hear them barking, and then I am gonna put some dinner on, and then I will basically explain how the appointment went. But yeah, long story short, I've learned a lot about breathing, and it turns out that my lower core, my like, I think it's called I can't remember what it's called.
But anyway, I'll look at the notes because she's actually emailed me some notes as well off the back of the appointment. But it turns out like I'm not properly activating my lower core, which is probably a little bit because I also had surgery on there. But it turns out like I've got to practice my breathing to basically use my lower core properly, to try and basically activate it. And then I've got some exercises that tie in to the breathing that are going to help activate the lower core. So essentially that's what we're trying to do, and then obviously get the lower core like properly being used, and then we can start to build in some weight training. But she basically said I'm going to go back in 3 weeks, and she also works in like a gym environment, so I'm going to go back to the gym with her in 3 weeks when I'm back from holiday, and she's going to get me doing some like basic compound lifts, but also making sure like I'm actually using my lower core, which is absolutely crazy because I've been training for a really long time, and like that's never, like obviously I brace when I lift, but I've never actively thought about using my lower core. So it's like, it's actually quite cool because it's like a whole new learning experience, and I feel like I'm actually learning a lot, which I find so interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna basically break down what's been going on, because there was some really interesting stuff in this kind of appointment that I just had, and we'll go from there. I'm going to show you the bits that I've done at my first pelvic health appointment, which was really, really good. And I will basically break this down and explain kind of the reasoning behind it. It was basically a mix of kind of breathing work and like lower kind of core stabilization stuff. So I'm going to show you what I do, and I'll do like a voiceover basically over the top, like explaining what it is I'm doing.
So one of the first things that we worked on was just some basic breathing, which actually took me a really long time to get right. So did this initially lying on my back, and then I also have to do some reps on my hands and knees. So it's basically breathing right down into your lower stomach. And what this does is it pushes your diaphragm down. And that basically ties into sort of everything in terms of like your bladder, how that works, kind of all your core control in your lower abs. And also just in terms of also how you go to the toilet and things like that. So it was really interesting. So did a little bit of time on that. As you can see, the dogs just will not get off me when I'm trying to do these exercises. But worked on breathing, and then basically as I exhale, I have to work on contracting my like lower abs, which is a little bit painful at the minute. Then we basically transitioned in some basic stabilization work. So this is like heel extensions, leg extensions, whilst I'm also doing the breathing. This was a lot for my brain to think about at this point, to be honest. So basically I have to breathe into my lower stomach. You can see like my lower stomach is actually expanding quite a lot when I'm breathing. And then as I breathe out and I contract my lower abs, that's when I have to actually extend my leg out. So it looks really basic, but you know, I have never really done anything like this, so it was quite interesting. And then the same thing, but I have to then go out, again, breathing right into my lower stomach, and then actually as I exhale and contract my lower abs, I basically drop my leg down. So they were the first two, and then the other one I've got is stood up. And again, the reason I've got my hands overhead in everything is because it helps not use your chest to breathe. It helps you take your chest and your shoulders out of the equation, which is really easy to do when you are doing this breathing and you haven't really done it before. So, and then the final one is I have to hold a band overhead, same thing, breathe into my lower stomach, and then as I exhale, I have to contract my lower core and then lift my leg up. So looks really basic, actually fairly difficult. And yeah, basically I'm doing this every day at the minute, as well as the bio oil. I'm basically massaging my scar to help break this down. So learned a lot about breathing, to be honest, things that I didn't really know that I needed to work on, which was really, really interesting, having never done anything like this before.
Okay, so I am just gonna cut some potatoes up. We've got, what we're gonna have for dinner. I'm gonna have some salmon that I defrosted earlier. Got some asparagus, some tender stem broccoli, and some potatoes. So that's the plan for dinner. But essentially, me and Mum also went for a little coffee and cake after my appointment, which was quite cute. And like an iced coffee and a slice of cake, which was lovely. So that was good to have a little catch up with Mum. So basically, I'm going to explain to you what has basically gone on while I'm cutting up these potatoes for dinner. So essentially it goes in, and Natty was absolutely fantastic. I'll pop like her details below, but she essentially specialises in kind of pre and postnatal pregnancy, also things like pelvic floor, perimenopause, postmenopause, all that sort of stuff. She's a women's health physio essentially. So goes in and explains basically what's going on, what I want, etc. Obviously for me, it is quite important that it heals properly from an aesthetic perspective, because I don't want to be having like issues with the scar like being raised and bumpy and things like that. And also I know that if it doesn't heal properly and it's like my core isn't working properly, I'm going to probably get on issues later down the line when it comes to training. And obviously I want to be able to train like safely and my core be like properly knitted back together. So that's like the reason I basically booked with her. So anyway, went in, sat down, had a really good chat about kind of what's happened and what's been going on. And then she basically did like an assessment. So she was like feeling it and stuff, lay down on my back. And she basically was like, yeah, it's actually healing really nicely. You know, it's coming along really well. And then she basically gets me like doing some breathing exercises. And essentially what I'm doing is when I'm breathing, which I never realised, and this honestly, I just found this so interesting, is when I am breathing at the minute, I was basically breathing into my chest. And she said a couple of really like things to me, and I was like, oh my God, that is crazy that you know that. And she's like, when you get lean, do you really struggle to get lean through like your lower abs? And I was like, yeah, I'm always quite watery. Like I always have upper abs, but my lower abs are they never really come through. And she was like, okay, and also, do you get like quite stressed and quite anxious? Like I feel like I tend to be sat in quite like a high like stress state on like a day-to-day basis generally. I always thought that was just my job and just kind of life in general. And then she said, yeah, basically what you're doing is when you're breathing, which a lot of women do, you breathe in just using your chest. So what happens is these kind of muscles in your upper abs get really tight and really like sticky. And then basically what happens is you're meant to breathe when you breathe into your diaphragm, so lower down. And what happens is your diaphragm drops, and that kind of that's what should happen. But essentially when you're just breathing up here, you're never really using the bit that you should be to breathe, and it makes the upper bit really like tight. And what then happens is you get flared ribs, and I've always struggled with my ribs being quite wide, and I just thought it was genetic that I had quite like a wide rib cage basically. And she says, no, it's basically because you don't breathe properly. And I was like, oh my God, that has just blown my mind. So yeah, that was that. So we basically spent a good chunk of the appointment getting me breathing, and I'm not even joking, like, you know, because I've never really thought about this before in that much depth. It was so difficult to actually breathe into my stomach, and she got me doing all these exercises, basically holding my ribs, like practicing breathing into my stomach, because your stomach should actually really expand when you breathe. And she made a really good point, which is like, as women, like we're constantly wearing tight leggings in the gym or tight shorts, or, you know, we're always thinking about like pulling ourselves in to make ourselves smaller. And she was like, so many women then breathe into the chest because you're always kind of trying to like pull in through the lower stomach. And actually when you breathe, your lower stomach should expand. So basically spent ages doing these exercises, and she said breathing properly into your like lower abdomen will basically help with your transverse abs, which is like your lower abs. And when you breathe out and you breathe into your lower stomach, your diaphragm drops, that basically helps with like your pelvic floor, your lower ab strength, which kind of ties into your pelvis and your hips and everything like that. So yeah, essentially what happens is as you breathe out, that's when kind of your lower abs should be working. But if you're always breathing into your upper chest, this gets really tight, and then you're never really using your lower abs. So it was super interesting, and it's been really cool because I feel like this is going to be a really good opportunity to maybe build from the ground up. And obviously I found out something that I didn't even realise I was doing, and it's quite cool because I feel like I've been training a really long time, and I would say I'm very clued up in terms of training, you know, hormones, physique development, general health and well-being. But like, I'm not gonna lie, breathing is not really something that I've overly thought about. So essentially we're working on, and this does kind of tie into my surgery as well, because I think because I've had surgery, I've been really wary about breathing deep because it hurt my lower stomach because of it obviously being cut. So basically we've been practicing doing some like deep breathing, using my like breathing it properly rather than just shallow breaths. So we did that, worked on basically like learning how to contract my lower abs, which is where I had everything cut. And that's the first step, like actually getting them to contract properly. And then we basically look at some basic stabilization work, because if we look at a lot of ab training, a lot of ab training is very superficial, like ab crunches, you know, leg raises, twists, all that sort of stuff. It's very kind of building your upper abs. Whereas like when we actually look at kind of core strength, you know, we want to do things that are like actually stabilizing the abs, strengthening your transverse abs, which are your lower abs. So a lot of the work now is basically going to be on like stabilization rather than actually building visible abs. So that's essentially what we're going to be looking at in stages. It actually, by the end of it, like my lower abs were like shaking, and obviously I have just had them cut open not long ago, so that's probably why. But I just found it, honestly, it was fantastic. It was so interesting. And I really wanted to make sure that I do this properly, and I wanted to like take the positives from this, and rather than being like, oh, it's so annoying, I can't train, like I'm having to start again, be like, okay, let's flip this on its head, let's look at the positive, and let's be like, this is something that I never would have done in the past. Like I never would have taken time out of my day to go and like make sure I'm breathing properly and I'm using my lower core. So I'm trying to use this as a really good opportunity to be like, actually, this is a fantastic opportunity for me to actually really build from the ground up and make sure that I'm doing everything properly. So I'm actually feeling quite positive after that, even though I've learned something that I didn't even know was potentially a thing. So basically having to learn how to breathe properly again, and then we build up from there, basically. That's the plan. So with me going away literally in 3 days, what I'm going to do is I need to do these exercises every day. So I'm going to do them every day, and then I'm going to take a little band with me on holiday. And then when I get back, I've got another appointment basically a week after I get back, and we're going to go into the gym, and she's going to help me build in some basic weight training, but actually making sure I'm stabilising using my lower core. Because I think when you've been injured as well, and you've maybe got like an underlying thing that you're a bit wary of, because obviously I'm a bit nervous of it, your natural response is for other parts of your body to take over to protect that area. So we want to make sure that I am actually using my lower core properly when I train. But really positive, because I thought it was going to be a bit longer than that. And so it turns out actually, like, once we've got the core stabilised, the next step is to actually strengthen it. And the way we strengthen it is by obviously loading it. Once I actually know how to use it and know how to engage it, the next step is like slowly starting to get stronger. So basically the step after that will be starting to weight train, but doing it in a way that is like very high rep, very lightweight, actually just building it up really slowly, like basically like working like a beginner would in the gym, like going back in as a beginner, high rep, low weight, and just building up my tolerance, making sure I'm using my lower core. So yeah, that's basically the plan. So I'm feeling quite optimistic. So we've basically got about 3 weeks of this core work, so that will put me 8.5 weeks post-surgery, and then should be able to build in a little bit of like basic weight training. So I'm quite excited for that. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be doing anything mad, probably be like pressing like 3 kg dumbbells or something, but it's a start. So yeah, I'm feeling positive, and it was actually a really cool thing to actually learn about that and be able to apply it to myself. And I really hope this is shown, like actually, yeah, you might look at someone and think, oh, like they're really into their training, they don't have any struggles, but I really hope this kind of highlights that, like, even starting from literally zero, and obviously yes, I have still got my muscle and stuff, but even starting from this, like, you can build up and get yourself in a really good position again. And you know, of course I want to go back to bodybuilding training, like that's what I love doing, but it's just about doing it properly and putting the work in and like doing it the right way. So I'm feeling good, and that was basically what happened essentially. Food wise as well, just to kind of follow on from that, like I said, my food has been like, I feel pretty happy. Like when I was in hospital, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really eating much, but since then I've basically been trying to have like 4 protein servings a day. So I've been having a breakfast, lunch and dinner, and then at some point, either before I go to bed or in the afternoon, I've been having like a Greek yogurt bowl, which is basically like Greek yogurt, protein, fruit, and a little bit of like dark chocolate basically. And then I have had the odd few snacks, like I've had some lunches out, I've had Like me and mum have been out for like cake and coffee a few times, so there have been a few extras. But all in all, I feel like I've maintained a good routine pretty well. So yeah, today I've had obviously my Weetabix and whey, my pasta and chicken for lunch, then I had some cake and a coffee, and now I'm going to have salmon, asparagus, broccoli and potatoes, and then I'll probably have some Greek yogurt and fruit after, just to get a bit more protein in. So that is the plan. All my potatoes and my veg are cooked up, so I'm going to whack them away, and then I do have a client call in 15 minutes, so I'm going to go and get ready for that. But I guess that pretty much wraps up this video, to be honest. Like, that's where things are at. Hopefully this is like relatable, and I am going to keep sharing what goes on. I'm actually going to try, when I go to my next appointment, I'm going to try and film some of the stuff that I do in the gym and take you guys with me, so you can see like how I'm getting back into my training. But it literally has just been a really steady process of like learning how to sit up, being able to sit up by myself, like being able to walk up the stairs by myself, like being able to move a bit more, and then slowly building up the walking. Obviously that's back up now to like 10,000 steps. And then yeah, starting to build in some more breathing work, some stabilization work. Like it's just a slow process, isn't it? It's just about like doing it properly, but I'm very confident that I will get back to normal. And yeah, I'm excited to share a bit more about it. So if you have any questions, I feel like I'm quite knowledgeable now in the realm of how much research I've done on core development, on post-surgery recovery, even on things like, obviously I already had a very good knowledge of endometriosis, ovarian, like PCOS, because I do have quite a few clients, to be honest, who suffer with that. So I do have quite a lot of knowledge around that and how to coach around that for things like fat loss, you know, physique development, building muscle, etc. But I feel like now I have even more knowledge because I've spent so much time learning about it. So I guess in a positive way, like going through this myself has actually allowed me to not only experience what it's like being set back and go forward again, but also it's given me so much more knowledge around just female health in general, because I've had to like research it myself to find out what to do and who to go to and how to get back from it. So we're going to take that as a win. I feel like there's got to be a positive outcome out of all of this. So if you have any questions or anything that you would like me to share or find out more about, please drop a comment below. But for now, I've had a few questions around competing and what's going on. Obviously, competing is not on the radar right now because I literally just need to get back in the gym and actually get back training, get back following a proper plan. Yeah, so that's the goal at the minute, just to get back to normal weight training. And then when I'm back to normal weight training, I can hopefully start to build my feet up again and just see where my physique is. So I'm pretty confident that's probably going to take the best part of this year, to be honest, to get back into like a good spot. And then I will reevaluate and basically see how I feel and what I want to do going forward. But that is essentially the plan. So hopefully this has been helpful. I'll show my dinner in a minute when I've cooked this. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what my calories are at the minute, but I'm very good at intuitive eating because I've tracked basically for the last 12 years of my life. So I'm still weighing my food, I'm still weighing my potatoes, I'm still weighing my chicken. I'm just not tracking it. I don't know what the calories are, but I've just been sticking to sort of 4 meals that I would normally eat on a day-to-day basis. Been eating very similar day-to-day, to be fair, so it's going to be quite similar. But yeah, I'm looking forward to just getting back on my meal plan and building my food up again when I get back in the gym. I think that's going to be the main goal. But hopefully this has just shown that even when bad stuff happens and you feel like everything is crumbling beneath you, like there are still things you can focus on, and it doesn't have to be a case of like all or nothing. It's just like keeping the good habits in, keeping moving forward. Things will fall back into place. That's my motto at the minute. So hopefully you've enjoyed, and I'm going to go and enjoy my holiday. I'm absolutely buzzing for this. I'm not going to take my camera with me or anything because honestly I feel like I barely had any time off when I was ill. Like I had clients competing, like I couldn't really afford to take time off. So I'm going to actually take some time off while I'm in Italy. Me and Will are going to have a lovely time. We're going to enjoy and celebrate with our friends their wedding. And yeah, so I'll be posting lots about Italy on social media. And I will get back to my YouTube when I am back from the holiday.